watching the live stream, thank you so much. And everybody who might be watching the YouTube video that will be prepared from this talk by Reverend Kelly, our assistant minister, who I'm looking forward to seeing in just a little over a week. She'll be here to share Thanksgiving with us and then to give a talk on Thanksgiving weekend. Okay, the title of my talk today is As I Would Have It Be. As I Would Have It Be. And I'm going to do a real no-no. I'm going to talk about politics in church, which is always risky. But I am not endorsing any candidate, so I don't think we'll have any problem with our nonprofit status. I'm just talking about politics in general and what I see going on in the United States. So Tuesday, you have to talk about politics. We just had the midterm elections. So Tuesday was the midterm elections, Tuesday, November 6th. And I was just aware of, maybe it was my own nervousness about it, but just like a nervous energy that many people had about the midterm elections on both sides. From the conservatives, from the liberals, from the Republicans, from the Democrats, everybody was very focused on it. And actually, I think that was an interesting thing. I've actually found more people focused on politics and feeling like they had a voice or something to say than I ever have experienced in my life. I think, we're in San Francisco. I live in San Francisco. We're broadcasting from San Francisco. I think the election had a lot for San Francisco just to feel proud about. Our former mayor, Dianne Feinstein, is once again going back to the Senate, so representative of San Francisco there. Our former mayor, Gavin Newsom, is now rising. He's now governor, elected governor. He's been lieutenant governor. He was mayor, lieutenant governor. Now he's governor. You know what's next. Everybody knows what's next. Is Gavin Newsom's going to run for president, probably. 2 years, 4 years, something. Who knows? So you heard it here first, folks. Right here at the Community Miracle Center. But Gavin Newsom, former mayor of San Francisco, big claim to fame was when the whole gay marriage thing was going on. He declared that San Francisco would issue marriage licenses to same-sex couples before it was really the law of the land. And so for a while, same-sex couples were getting married in San Francisco before the state shut it down. But you and Vincent got married? You and Vincent got married. How sweet. I've forgotten that. And also, Nancy Pelosi, who is our representative, San Francisco's representative, for like 90% of San Francisco, she is the representative. And she's probably going to be Speaker of the House again, because the Democrats have taken back control of the House of Representatives. So San Francisco has a lot to feel good about. We're very represented in state level, national level, former mayors, our representatives. You think about the House of Representatives. First of all, Nancy Pelosi is the only woman who has ever been Speaker of the House of Representatives. And I believe the Speaker of the House is second in line to become president, right? If the president is incapacitated, then it goes to the vice president. But if the vice president is incapacitated, then it goes to the Speaker of the House. So second in line to be President of the United States, our representative, Nancy Pelosi. I think that's exciting. Okay, the day after the election, we had that lesson that I thought was just so apropos, which was, I judge all things as I would have them be. So whatever the outcome of the election was, I think we had the opportunity to truly look at it positively, to judge it the way we would have it be. And I chose to look at it positively, that the balance of power seems a little bit more balanced now than it did before. I think a lot of my liberal-leaning friends, and let's face it, San Francisco is probably the most liberal place on the planet, so a lot of my liberal-leaning friends get relaxed a little bit. I think I just sort of felt this like sigh of relief. Okay, the balance of power a little bit better. And it was probably a pretty big victory if you actually think about it, because generally parties don't change that much when the economy is this good. So we have a really good economy right now. We have unemployment at like a 40, 50-year low. We have unemployment so low, I remember reading about 6 or 8 years ago, theories that you couldn't get unemployment this low, that they considered 4.2 to be full employment or something. But the unemployment level right now is 3.7. It's been 3.7 for a couple of months. That's historic lows. That's like 50-year lows. It's amazing. Just 9 years ago, in 2009, the unemployment rate was 10%. So the unemployment rate has dropped from 10% to 3.7. So that just means more people are at work, more people have income, more people have a higher standard of living. And the fact that there was this change in the power dynamic in our country while that was going on was probably a pretty interesting thing. I want to digress a minute here and just talk about that book that I've mentioned on and off, The Better Angels of Our Nature, and I know Reverend Rudy is listening to the book. I got Reverend Deuce Althea listening to that book. It's a pretty amazing book, and one of the conclusions that he keeps mentioning, but then that he draws at the end of the book, that one of the things that's driving this decrease in violence and this civilization of the world is this concept of gentle commerce. That it's just become entrenched. We just realize that it's just better to do business with somebody, to buy and sell things, than to kill them. Yeah, than to go to war with them, or somehow, be aggressively acting towards them, just to trade with them, and it's like a re-embracing capitalism, actually, and it's a re-embracing of business and buying and selling. And I'm a product of the 60s and the 70s, and we kind of had this negative idea about business and making profit. So it's like shifting that in my mind, that there's actually a very good aspect to business and making a little money and having more income and having a better standard of living. And when you have it, because you're doing business with other people, it's extending to other people. And I think that's a little bit of what's going on in the country with the 3.7 unemployment rate, that more people have better standard of living, a little more disposable income. They're not as tense and nervous and anxious about survival issues. And that is really felt energetically all throughout. And I think that's decreasing the violence that we have in our society, as the book points out through its statistics, regardless of the fact that, violent acts still keep making the headlines. The overall statistic is drastic reduction in violence, and that we are more civilized. And, our President Trump, he actually fits in that scenario. So I judge all things as I would have them be. I want to have a wonderful country and a peaceful country, and I want to have a president that is somehow serving that. So I want to see what's good about the president. I don't want to necessarily always focus in on what I don't like about the president. I'm a liberal. He's not liberal like I am, and there's a lot of things there that I don't like that he does. But for Wednesday, the day after the election, I wanted to focus in on some good things. And the good thing that I saw was that he is a person that is trying to promote commerce and trade. He's money-oriented. And that's actually a very civilizing force for our country, for our society, and for the world. Think about the world. Our country is not at war right now. We don't have a war going on. And I lived through so much war with the Vietnam War and the Iraq War and all of the Afghanistan War, all the years of war. And we have we've just phased out of that. And it doesn't seem like any is real imminent. You never know. Things could happen. But I want to acknowledge that. Say there must be something going right with our culture, even with our government, that this is happening. We could look at the bad, but let's look at the good thing, the result. By their fruits ye shall know them. So the fruit is unemployment's really low. We are promoting commerce, and violence is low, and we're not at war. I think that's all a really, really good thing. But the thing that really cracked me up about the lesson of the day after the election. I judge all things as I would have them be. So this was the day when the Republicans lost the House of Representatives, and the Democrats take control, and President Trump declared the election a big victory. He declared the election a big victory. He had several tweets about what a great election, what a great victory it was for them. And I thought, wow, he's really demonstrating a course in miracles. I judge all things as I would have them be. That's what he wants. He's going to spin this in his mind into a victory. I've never seen anything like it. And he actually said, which I thought was amazing, that now that we have new people in the House of Representatives, a new leadership in the House of Representatives, we're going to get some legislation done. And I thought, wow, the president his party just lost control of the House of Representatives. And he's spinning that like it's a good thing. Now we're going to have legislation that we weren't able to have before. And I got to hand it to him for that. That's positive thinking at a level that I didn't even really think was possible. And it comes across when he says it pretty authentic and pretty genuine, like he's really holding that consciousness and projecting that out there and bringing it into manifestation. And then I thought, last year, Nancy Pelosi did work with President Trump on a couple of issues, and he actually praised Nancy Pelosi. And he even put out a tweet that he said that he wanted the House for sure to make Nancy Pelosi Speaker of the House, that she's worked so hard and she certainly deserves it. And for him to just come out and say something like that about a Democrat, I thought was pretty amazing. So I judge all things as I would have them be. I see all things as I would have them be was the lesson for the next day. So it's just a little cautionary thing, and maybe to my liberal friends, and I have lots of liberal friends, is we want to see this and judge this in a way that feels good, in the way that we want it to move, and not see it and judge it in the way that feels bad, in the way that we think is terrible. One of the good things that I see, what's a good thing to focus in on? People are engaged. People are engaged in the process more than I have felt. This was one of the highest voter turnouts for a midterm election. It's the highest voter turnout that we've had at the midterm election for 52 years. Wow. So 47% turned out to vote. Now, you might think 47% is not a whole lot. It's not even really half. But the last midterm election, only 36.7% turned out to vote. So that's more than 10% more of the population turned out to vote. So people were interested. People were engaged. People thought their voice, their vote counted, and they wanted to make it. And I thought, I think that's a good thing. Voter apathy has always been an issue. So that, we don't have the voter apathy that we used to have. I mean, first of all, I don't think 47% is really a great percent. I would think it should be way higher than that, but at least it's moving in the right direction, and it's been years and years, 52 years, 1966, since we had anything near that high. So that's a good thing. As much as when I hear the alt-right people talk, as much as that disturbs me, and it really disturbs me every time I hear it, I got to admit, they're at the table now. They have been given their voice. They have been given permission to express their views. And I am sure that they're as annoyed as those fuzzy-minded leftists as we are, as some of our liberal people are with them. And we have a place at the table. The liberals have a place at the table. Everybody's got a place at the table now, or more so than I remember seeing. And we may not like that element, that conservative element or that alt-right element, but at least they're here and they're talking. And we're talking to them. And that's the start. I mean, that's how things start. So I just really want to judge this and see this as a good thing. And we're all at the table, and we're all talking, and we're all interested in evolving our culture, evolving our society, and thinking that we really can. I don't know if it's just my own personal perspective, but years ago, you voted and you wanted your candidate to win, but it didn't really feel like you had this active engagement in evolving the cultural, societal values that I think people feel they have now. And I think that's a manifestation of the Course in Miracles quotation or workbook lesson, is that I seek a future different from the past. From new perception of the world, there comes a future very different from the past. The future now is recognized, but as an extension of the present. So I feel that. I feel a lot of people really taking their voice and taking their thoughts and really putting them on the table because they really believe we can have a future very different from our past and that their presence really matters, and I can't help but think that's a miraculous thing, and that's a really, really good thing. And I think that's going to create something new, a new culture that we've never had before. And I see that, I've spoken about that from time to time. And many of you know that I also read and study A Course of Love, and there's a thing in A Course of Love. It's about that we're here to create the new. And it talks about how we're manifesting a new world with a new way of relating and a new way of really being and a new experience. And that there isn't anything in our past that we can really use to make this new thing. In fact, if we're too hooked into our past, we're just going to manifest a future that was just like the past. So it's about this disengagement from our learning so that Spirit can really work through us to create a future that's really something radically new and different. And I feel that's what's going on in our country, in our culture, with all the many things that I see. I think we're really creating something new. A Course of Love also talks about manifesting our lives and our bodies in form, but in an elevated form. And it calls this the elevated self of form. And I think that's going on too. That people are going to be manifesting their lives, the form of their lives, to have a greater reflection of the abundance and the divinity that they truly are. I want to just take a minute to talk about a conference that's going on, not our conference, there's an online video conference going on that's called the Awaken to Love Conference that is going to be free. And it's with all Course in Miracles people, and we've had blasts of emails. You should have gotten some. And they've interviewed me now twice for that conference, and then I'm going to be on a live panel and a live thing, another thing on that conference. But I'll be on that conference a total of 4 times. And one of the things that conference is dealing with, it's talking a lot about A Course in Miracles, talking to all the key A Course in Miracles people who are willing to participate, but it's also engaging with A Course of Love, and that's been a little controversial. So I feel like I'm right there in the middle of another controversy again because I kind of study A Course of Love, and I've gotten some positive things, and I see the same thing going on there, though. At least everybody's invited to the table. That's what I think. Healing happens when everybody gets invited to the table. If you exclude certain people, it's not good for healing. For the Los Angeles conference that we got coming up in 2020, the Foundation for Inner Peace, the long-term publishers of the FIP edition, are going to be represented there. SIMS, Course in Miracles Society, who published the original edition, which is an edition that I use a lot and that we use here a lot, they're going to be represented there. The Circle of Atonement is going to be represented. They published Circle of Atonement edition. I don't know what Course in Miracles conference has ever had 3 major publishers of A Course in Miracles all there, all at the same table, all on the same stage, all on the same platform. And I can't help but think that's a really good thing. The more we open and talk to each other, I think the better it is. In Boston, coming up in 2019, Gary Renard's going to be there, Robert Perry's going to be there. They had, thoughts and, hard feelings for many, many years. John Mundy. Tina Spalding is going to be there. She's one of the channelers of Jesus. That's considered controversial by some people. But when Jesus comes through her, Jesus talks about A Course in Miracles on and on. Mari Perron, again, is going to be their Course of Love. Again, it's like all the people showing up at the table to talk. And I think that's what's going on in politics, too. Everybody is showing up at the table. Everybody is really thinking that they have a voice. Anyway, that's how I'm going to judge it. And that's how I'm going to see it, because that feels good to me. That's what I want to judge. That's what I want to see. I judge all things as I would have them be. I see all things as I would have them be. So I'm going to call these the As I Would Have Them Be lessons. There are two lessons that go right next to each other. And it's just a little joke for myself, because I thought he was such a wonderful demonstration of these lessons. I'm going to call them the President Donald Trump lessons. Okay, that's it. That's my talk for today. Thank you.